Hey guys, what's going on? Just setting up today's development stream. It's starting a little bit early today, and actually, I may be cutting it a little bit short as I do have an appointment I need to keep. So it may be a little bit closer to an hour and a half instead of the usual 2 hour um, stream. And as you may have noticed, based on the stream title and description, uh, yeah, we're taking a little bit of a break from the banking system, and just going to do some environmental work in the South Fields level, sort of providing a little bit of a visual update to some of the elements there, and also um, just reintroducing some of the elements that were existing previously, cleaning up a little bit of the foliage work as well. So this is just booting up now. I'll give that a second to load up the level. Computer hardware update. Um, Although yesterday's stream was perfect, as soon as I popped out the chat on my first attempt of this stream setup, my computer crashed. So, still kind of finicky here. But I just sort of left everything in browser, and hopefully that should be fine for the stream. I hope the audio is okay. Please let me know if the music is too loud. Right on. So here is the the South Fields level, kind of in a state of disrepair. Let's see if I can zoom out here. Yeah, so you can see we're just gonna be re-adding some of these elements. I just re-added in the gate back to go inside the city, but we're gonna make better use of our terrain texture here in conjunction with some better modeled rock elements. Previously, I guess I could show you over here. Previously, the South Fields were using elements like this, which I don't love. It's very stretched and flat, and it doesn't feel all that natural, right? So I'm gonna be doing some bit of arrangement with these rocks and things. I'm just gonna change the sun position so I can get a better view on what I'm working on, looking at rather. And right away, based on the old level, we can see the some what is now floating terrain, or not terrain, sorry, floating grass and foliage. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Whoops, it's a little tricky because strangely you can only... I can't click directly on the foliage. I kind of need to define a surface, and I can paint within that. So we'll clean that up as we go. One thing I do want to do is add a little bit of like a brown tone to this material, because I don't love the gray. So what I'm going to do is find the material instance, and right here we have the material for that rock. What I want to do is I suppose adjust these parameters. Looks like there's some functionality already built in here. Vector parameters. And I'll check out the material instance, of course. Yes, check out. And let's see here. I'm just gonna save that in case I. Oh, actually, we don't need it. It's So this is a parameter that's labeling as a detailed diffuse color. I'm not noticing any changes based on that. Wait, maybe slightly? Um, if we change this over here. Okay, so now we have a very aggressive color overlay. So we probably don't want it to be that harsh. But if we lower the alpha, and I guess the saturation as well, I just want to slightly tint the rocks. So what I'm gonna do here is actually create a duplicate and just call it rock underscore well, like brown basically. So let's set those back to default and grab our rock brown, apply it to this texture. And now that we know what we want to change, yeah, just tint it over in this direction with a little bit of a beige. Interestingly, whether it's transparent or not doesn't really affect the vector parameter, just the saturation. Okay, so we'll close that. And, or you know what, I'll dock that up here for now. Okay, so if we zoom out here, and if I hit my G key, you can see a whole bunch of game bounds. These collision boxes were sort of the crude way we had this level set up before in terms of blocking. So I'm going to delete them after, because right now it provides a pretty useful guide as to how we're going to manipulate the terrain and the collision that we want to follow. Okay, so I'm just gonna basically intersect these and sort of rotate, flip, reorient them as we sort of want them to. And ideally, we want to make it look like a single cliffside, not a whole bunch of Easter Island heads. Let's see here. Rotate this one like so. I'll delete that. And I have several stones here. I'm particularly fond of this one. This one looks really cool. It's like a really cool shape. Just gotta move all these over and find a home for each of them. So we're gonna, I'm gonna set this on local and lock this and just bump it up. Um, and I'll sandwich that right in there. This one I'll flip over so it's totally upside down. And you know what? Gonna have to rotate the sky so I can see what I'm working with here. I mean that makes it a little bit better. You know what? I'll just create a working light for now. And just sort of bump this up. And just really get crazy with it so we can sort of see what and where we're working. Bring it forward a little bit. Probably shift it down. I didn't mean to duplicate it. I want to turn off cast shadows. Yeah, let's drop this down here and feeling that might be a bit too aggressive. If we lessen this a bit more. Wow, a whole bunch of floating grass up there. Well, this is a experiment. I can just delete that. Okay, so here's gonna cheat a little bit and just kind of grab a grouping of these and just Alt and drag them over. Change this to world, or align that with world so that I can make sure I'm dragging off axis. And just sort of position these guys like so. So I'm going to use these two rock types in particular just to create the basic structure of the cliffside. And for the last, or with the remaining rocks, I actually want to build out kind of use them almost to accessorize the wall in terms of how the elements are laid out and distributed. So ruin entrance light. I'm just gonna turn these off. And just sort of, yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, just arrange these. What's going on with this grass? Just gonna clean this up a little bit. Gonna have to reduce our brush size, and yeah, that looks a bit more natural. It's definitely tricky to find the balance. And actually, what I'm curious of is the base material and how our detailed diffuse color is implemented. So we have diffuse, diffuse 2. So detailed diffuse color is multiplied into the... Looks like we need a switch. Detail add or multiply. Let's... Interesting that we have vertex painting enabled on this material as well. But I don't want to muck around too much. Because we'll turn this on and set it to false. It'll see what we get here with our material. We get nothing. Totally black. Okay, someone just turn that back on. And we'll work with it as is. Just a little bit of experimentation with this material instance. I think we should probably just grab this and stick it over here as well. And we're going to get some more of our rocks. And just begin to further accent the way these are laid out. This is hugely scaled up. Definitely too aggressive. So this is actually a super tiny rock. Okay, so what I will do next is... Actually, let's pull these guys forward. Make sure we're getting that. I want to begin deleting these collision boxes because these meshes for the cliffside have their own collision, and it's going to be far better than the collision that is just made by a volume. Yeah, bring this guy over. Maybe slant it a bit. Just to create some variety. What I would like to do is actually add to this material to enable some vertex painting. So we can maybe build out some moss and some overgrowth on the, like, sporadically on the edges or something like that. We could sort of make use of, clipping in some... Oh, yes, I see. That's why I cannot move those two just temporarily. I'm gonna bring this out and drop it. Why did it go up? I'll bring that down. And use it to quickly delete those. Yeah, as you saw earlier, we could, do something like this to create some... I mean, it looks okay. I don't love it. But first, I would like to go through and add some foliage elements that aren't grass to these. We could potentially make a new foliage type and add and paint that on the rock so that it doesn't look so much like just grass. Because you probably want something like moss, something a little bit more doesn't look as weird. Oh, forgot one. Okay. As we come through here, right. So what I want to add is some of our buildings back into the scene. You can see here there is something. Yeah, I got some basic geometry stairs set up. Let's see here. So I go to my meshes folder, South Fields. Yeah, I got this hunting outpost. It's a proxy mesh, but it's pretty cool. It adds a little bit of character and function to the world. Looks pretty good. So I verify the collision is working. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay. Don't love that. Yeah, the collision could be a bit more optimized here, but it's not terrible. Definitely not. And here we have a ruin entrance, or just the elevator. Um, Now I want to probably delete this blocking volume. And here we have the building that this was supposed to be. Uh, so what the plans are for this, I want to address the textures and materials on it a little bit. Use some more of our procedural textures and make better use of the elements. And let's just select it all. Yeah, I'll edit that after. Let's just ground this a bit. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. Yes, I want to make sure this is in the floor and possibly. Interesting. Yeah, it's a pretty old mesh. Okay, so the lift is pretty basic too. We just have to align and bring this up. That's a weird texture. Super weird. Okay, and I think we got some these spires that we can put in here. Well, that's probably how that grass got to be floating. Now that I think about it. Okay, drag this out, duplicate it. We can actually go to our top view and take a look at how that's looking. Just sort of approximately line these up. And I'll just do this. Well, that's a bit severe. Okay, so now if we come through here, the level's looking a lot better already. That BSP wall at the back there, that's actually for the sky. So you see when it's morning time, the previous walls were not letting light through. But, sorry, they were letting light through, because they're only one-sided meshes. But, pretty sure we can just, because we got this new rock face, oh, that's odd. Yeah, let me just delete that. What I believe is now it shouldn't really matter. Only have morning time. Yeah, perfect. Because these are actual meshes that are not, well, they're closed. They're not open. They have no color faces. Sorry, not color faces. They have no open faces. they actually occlude the light from reaching. And then up here, we have that nice morning glow type of effect. It's a little weird. So we gotta do a bit more rock work here. Whoops, wrong key there. And if we come up here, yeah, we'll extend our rock wall. And I'll turn lighting on. This makes things look a bit more appealing. So I'm just gonna tilt these forward. Just to add a bit of variety and character, so that they're not all just vertically placed by me. And I think I'll just cheat and grab another section of all, and yeah, make sure we're on grid here. And I'll just move this up. And just for now, I'll just duplicate it and place it there. Let's see, I can get rid of this collision box and this one as well, because I never illustrated, but because yeah, this has collision. The wall has its own collision, and it's a lot better than that blocking volume we had earlier. Let's see here. Looks like we have to redo our terrain a little bit. And I think I'll set up the wall first so that we can we have something to work against with our terrain brushes. Let's pull that through here, and I suppose we can just duplicate that back here, raise it up a little bit. That should look fairly decent. I'm going to flip it, and I'll reposition it a bit better. Yeah, I can probably raise it up. Oh, such dramatic music! My gosh. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna delete it from the playlist. And oh, I screwed up everything. Whatever. Now let's update my saved list. Okay, so that autosave went off fairly well. Yeah, what I don't want is the player to be able to see through. Okay, so from here we need our rock wall to come forward and then turn pretty harshly. And I'll just raise this up. Rotate it a bit. Kind of want to make use of that corner. So we have that flat face following our desired collision. We should be able to delete that now, and then grab this guy and bring him in here. So what's not ideal is that we have a lot of I mean, I don't want to be doing this, but just curious. The trees actually follow, which is pretty cool. The grass does not, though. Okay. And this... Oh, what is going on here? Okay, I see. The first thing I'm going to do is actually delete or erase some of this foliage out. Again, grass is not something that should just be growing out of rocks. I mean, you could use weeds, maybe, like a few meshes, but... Oh, this is our ambience sound. Let's leave that out there. It doesn't really matter. And actually, I want to make sure we're deleting these volumes correctly. They're going to be really hard to click, if not. Okay, so what we have here is... Well, let's grab these two meshes, and we have... Rock 1 and Rock 2. I'll probably raise the scale by 2 for this. Actually gonna move this outwards a little bit and probably adjust the sky so we can see. Actually, I think I deleted that light from earlier. I'm just gonna make a new point light. And what I want to do is make it... Actually, let me get out of here. Making this too complicated. Just work with unlit so you can see everything that's going on. And we'll just duplicate this a bunch of times and then rotate and create some variety between those 4 pieces. Yeah, I don't want it to be a perfect line because that's kind of weird. And I can bump this up by about 3, or like 2 is fine. And just sort of add this in here. And have a little bit of a landing. Now, what I want to use is this terrain texture. But it's going to be tricky. going to be quite tricky, actually. And if we come up over here, whoops, did not intend to use that. Okay, and I'll just drop this down to 3, and using the local gizmo, we're just going to add some quick variety to these elements. So from here, let's go to our terrain tool and see if I can remember how to use this. We want to sculpt, and I think that brush size is way too high. And we want to, I think just sculpt, right? Yeah, we can raise the ground, kind of where I want it. I'm going to shift. Yeah, shift will reduce it, and I think control I don't think does anything. And I'll just grab the reverse size again and just sort of flatten everything to this height. Yeah, so you can kind of see. Oh, that's so awesome how the grass is following the terrain. I gotta love that. Right, so to minimize that, we can just flatten from this relative point and bring that down just to sort of lessen what's going on over there. And I'm just going to grab this, bring it up to this level. Now that should be adequate with regards to that cliffside and that landing. Actually, what I want to do is make the, I don't know, maybe it's could be a bit overkill potentially, but if we flatten or raise this a little bit, oh, that's way too much. Kind of looks disgusting. Let's lower this and I kind of just wanted to use this height to the flatten tool just to create a little bit of, oh, that's bad. Yeah, something like that should be pretty cool. Let's just sculpt a little bit here. And what I should probably do is slide over this brace, slide that over, and I suppose rotate these. So they're not awful. That's cool. Actually, it's not cool. From here, let's rotate those out. From here, let's take the y-axis, and I guess I can flip that. I mean, that does create more variety, even though it is just a mirror. And what I'm the most wary of is this potential for the player character to fall into spaces and get stuck. Which is sort of what I'm hoping to alleviate. Let's just grab a rock here, and with a sort of a rogue tree. Move that to, are there like 1,000 trees in here? Or no, just 2. Maybe not. Maybe there are 1,000 trees inside this one tree. Good lord! So it looks like I drag and dropped every tree inside of that one. How embarrassing. Okay, anyways, let's grab this. Maybe stick a rock. Cool little rock over there. Beside this tree. That's so weird. Oh my god. It's kind of disgusting. Okay. So what I want to do here is sort of just clean up what's going on with these rocks. I'm going to hide this. Oh, it looks like it worked actually. Yeah, so I guess it's fine. Let me undo that. Okay, so I'll turn my lighting back on, and now let's see here. Can I highlight all of these and then just apply my brown rock texture, or material rather? Looks like it works just fine. This is just a weird BSP. Get rid of that, clean it up. So, let's just paint this back to grass, I guess. And well, what we could do is go back to sculpt and just pick that relatively flat area and then flatten everything to that level. And let's jump in here. Okay, so we got our ruins entrance there. There's hunting outpost over here. And if we run up this hill, It's quite steep. What a climb. Okay. Yeah, we have this open uh, face. We have an area like this. So what I would ideally like to do here is definitely create a blocking volume so that we can't go in there, but also I don't want to put trees if we don't need trees. Like they're inexpensive, like comparatively to rocks, right? All these alpha channels. I wonder if we could fake it. I mean, you could do something like an image plane, or we could just put rock cliffside along it. And I guess it would amount to the same. The result would be the same anyways. Right, like if we grab this and just built out a little bit. And let's close that off. Hey, can I get my player start? And move this guy over. Come on over here, buddy. So, yeah. Definitely looks a bit better. Man, I don't love how steep this is. I believe there are tools in our foliage to ramp right. Yeah, I think we do something like this. You ramp these 2 points. Kinda, sort of. So now I don't know if this is gonna muck up anything. Let's just see. Not bad. Definitely seems to be a softer slope to this area. That's fine. Okay, that's pretty cool actually. Worked better than I thought it would. Don't love this. Don't love this stuff. So let's get the foliage, clean up the grass, and then go to our terrain, and we're gonna tighten this up quite a bit, reduce or increase the fall off, so we kind of have a bit more control with what we're painting. So I think it's kind of nice if there's a little bit of green encroaching from the bottom of on the cliff texture. That's part of the terrain, but the magic blend does not look good. So this is a great place to use. If you guessed rocks, you would win. Yeah, a little bit of floating grass, which we gotta clean up as well. Alright, what I want to do is actually back to here. Okay, now the audio should be restored. Well, my microphone audio should be restored back on stream. Excuse me, what I wanted to say was, before I got cut off due to my own negligence, is that I want to try and match the flow of this pattern, as much as possible with our super cool rocks. Probably won't have any rock this big again here. We just kind of want to match these, and I think that looks okay now. Let's get our foliage brush, clean this up a little bit, and clean up this area where we got this magic grass that just floats. It just exists. Some sort of alien grass that are not from our world. Okay, so from here, let's grab a volume, and probably would be fine, well enough served with just a blocking volume. And basically at the tree line is where I want this to sit. And we're just gonna scale it up. Probably make this something like 300. And we just sort of want to limit where the player can go in that direction. And I don't think they can get back up from here, at least with the current power set. If we come through here, we can apply a bit of grass. And I don't want too much grass where we have the brown areas, because they are supposed to, represent wear. Come back to this texture here, and grab our dirt layer and just lessen that a little bit. I don't love this material. This is one of the earliest terrain materials I ever built, and I probably could go ahead and update this to make it a little bit more dynamic and just blend better instead of the magic blend. You'd kind of want to use a height channel of the dirt and use that to blend instead. Hey Julio, no worries about being late. I can appreciate being busy. That's actually why I started early. I have an appointment in the afternoon, so just sort of keeping that in mind with my work here. How's my audio volume? Man, if I come through here, amazing. We can't go through, but our camera clips in there in like a really weird way. To remove that, we just have to go to our collision settings And basically, just set it to ignore camera. And now I believe, yeah, behaves as it should. Okay. So looking at our nature, if we come over here, I have a bit more foliage that I could use, and like add new foliage type. This is interesting. So inside of this folder, sort of experimenting with a new interior primary collection. Foliage type. That's something I'm interested in. We'll call this rock. Maybe cliff. You know, if the foliage type, let's get a proper naming abbreviation going. F underscore cliff. And I just want to, it's actually just experimenting. So we have a mesh that we can apply to this. But it's just one. That's the random placement and how it behaves, instance settings, material override, density scaling. Not necessarily what I thought this would be. I thought this would sort of be like a themed set where I could define everything. But I mean, this does have its use. You are able to control with a greater degree the placement and I guess the things like the instance settings. Interesting. Okay, let's just delete that. And yeah, so we have some trees here. What I want to do is turn off these. And yeah, we can see because I have nothing, can't place anything, which is fine. What I want to add is we have moss type 3, and that's it as far as moss goes. Shoot. I just realized something. We've migrated our projects, within the last month or so. And I'm realizing that a bunch of the materials or the textures here did not get moved over. So my apologies. I'm just going to be doing some asset management on the other screen here, on my other monitor. Let's see here. If I go to the environment, nope. So I'm looking inside my content folder. Okay, so what I'm gonna have to do is migrate those assets over that are missing. Um, and that will have to get done. I'm gonna open up our an older iteration of the project, and I'm just gonna have to migrate these files over. So sorry, it's gonna just interrupt the workflow just a bit while that 4.13 opens, and I close this one, I migrate the files over, and then move them back. And there it is, and we had a cool custom launch panel, which I thought was pretty cool. From here, I guess we can just upgrade some of these elements a little bit, and don't love that. That feels weird. Let us smooth It doesn't look like it's smoothing anything. Oh, I'm a goof. That's why, because we're painting, and I need to be on sculpt and be on smooth. Yeah, that's probably important. Looks like we're getting something now. Yeah, it behaves a bit more natural. Seems adequate. Just run through here. Yeah, we can run back behind here and find nothing, I guess. Pretty cool. Oh, look at this cool floating bush. Or, I think that's a moss, actually, that I was looking for. Let's see, is that a foliage element, or just... Oh no, it's just placed static mesh. Just pretty cool. Okay, so it looks like my other project is opened here. I'm going to save everything I've been working on over here. And actually close this version. And what I want to be doing is migrating over essentially the whole nature package. Just right click, migrate. The following assets will be well, guess we need to grab the whole thing, which isn't awful. I didn't think I needed the maps folder, but I guess because this is from the marketplace, I have to keep these together. That's fine. I'm going to... The following assets will be migrated. Let's verify. Yeah, pretty much what I expected. Let's hit OK. And then we browse for our content folder, and it's... Well, Unreal knows pretty much where I want to move it. So let's move it over. Okay, so certain assets already exist. Do I want to overwrite them? I'm going to say no, because we have made some changes on those assets. So we should just get the missing ones. Yep. The migrate tool is actually, and look, got successfully migrated the content. Amazing. So I'll close that through here and open up our project. Yeah, like I was saying, the migrate tool is awesome. It's an awesome way to move content around. The only reason why content was missing was because I migrated the level, which contained particular assets from that nature package. So it didn't migrate all of them, because I only migrated what was required by that level. But, I mean, you saw how easy it was. It's like a minor inconvenience, and we're back, and we have now all of our foliage, which is really cool. And if I go to the materials, and we go to ground, I guess, or not ground, but flora, we still have our rock brown, which we made. So let's get back to our South Fields level. And it looks like the nature package actually did have some of these elements I wanted. Like, looking at this rock, looks like it has moss built in through a detail map. And that was probably why those features weren't working on our instance, now that I think about it. So here we are back in our level. Oh, look at these cool muddy rocks. Okay, there they go. They're back. Okay, so if we open up rock brown and what happens here? Yeah, it just turns black. That's sort of the same result. What I am curious about is these different kinds of rock materials. We have a really white one here. It looks kind of cool. So I applied that, and we get a really cool bright rock face. Kind of reminds me of Monster Hunter. It's really cool. And these ones look to have some overgrown elements sprinkled in. Like, yeah, some moss, which looks quite cool. And this is the moss on the white rock. Definitely interesting. If we go through here, we can see texture primers all look good. Detail map, add. So I'm gonna pop that out over here. And what's interesting is the rock texture itself is what's different. So as you can see, there is rock 4D and 1D. So if I just grab this in and replace the texture, we have our different rock face, and it's... Oh, why is the detail normal so awkward? Let's grab the detail normal and apply that as well. Oh geez, that's not right. That's the detail diffuse. Detail normal goes here. Right, so from here, are we able to influence this? To be honest, I can't really tell. No, there is some subtle change happening. Um, oh, that's not good. Definitely don't want that. So we have to just be very subtle with the way these overlays are, the way the math is handling the overlay, rather. And if I save here, it looks like Rock Brown now has moss everywhere. I don't know if I like that, to be honest. It's kind of... I don't want to say the word sloppy, but... Let's see how it looks in the game view. Hmm. I think for the time being, I will just set these rocks to the... actually, let's try this. Nah, don't like it. Don't like it all that much. So what I was working on earlier, before we migrated those assets over, is that I wanted to add some more foliage types to the what we were painting with here. Let's see here. This is a sky texture. Interesting. Okay. So right, collapse textures, and let's get into flora here. And you can see you have a whole bunch more bushes, trees, grass types as well. And what I was looking for was the moss. So yeah, we actually have 3 types of moss. And can we just add that foliage type here? Perfect. So let's make sure we're not painting with the wrong ones. What I want to see is, can we, but how bad will it look if we put moss on these rock faces? So to increase the brush size. And we'll be careful not to put it on the tree. Probably should create some breathing room for this guy. And oh, we can see the sky down there. That's not good. Let's move this forward. And looking at this, we could a little bit. We have a little bit of control of the density. Could make it a bit more aggressive. And basically just paint some some vegetation onto the cliffside. Sort of the look we're trying to achieve here. I love how ugly everything looks without lighting. So I want to be careful with where we're placing this, because we don't want to be adding foliage to elements that aren't even going to be in view. Okay, turn the lighting back on. It looks okay. I think we'll keep it. And I guess we will change these to our brown rocks. Sort of help those along a little bit more. Let's move this over here, close the material instance. Oh, do I enjoy creating environments or programming functionality? To be honest, man, both have their own, it's like different kinds of fun, if that makes sense. I definitely grew to like programming more than I ever thought I would. It's weird. Super weird. I remember in my youth, I would always say things like, man, I don't know how people can program. I would never be able to do that. And now I get it. Strangely, I didn't get it when we were scripting using Maya back in the day, creating Python and Mel scripts. That wasn't fun. Man, like I know people who like programming in Excel, so there's definitely an element to programming that is enjoyable. Okay, well, it's a secret area. Players shouldn't go here. Just gonna duplicate this and... Oh, that's so cool. The foliage duplicates as well? That's awesome. Okay. Makes it awkward for rotating it, though. I would imagine, right? Like if you rotate it, it still works. You just have upside down foliage. Right, so I just want to clean this up. Let's get out of here. Pretty cool. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to be implementing while we're in the level. So that's weird. Why are we getting like light shining through here? That's a two-sided mesh. Like these rocks are working fine. Yeah, even over here, you're not really getting any light shining through the rock faces. I mean, there's a little bit, but that's uh, not bad at all. But over here, yeah, that's weird. Same with this. Um, hmm. Not exactly sure why that is. Hmm. Exactly, Julio. You know how it is. Programming in Excel is kind of fun. It's probably the nerdiest sentence I've ever said in my life. From here, let's just shift this over a bit. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna grab my BSP wall, flip this over, and drop it down below view here. Just want to see what's up with the lighting. Okay, so that works quite well, if I say so. Um, Pretty cool. Some torches. Wasn't planning on it. Torches to light the way. I don't think we have any actors. But then, who's lighting the torches? Yeah, this I don't like. Gotta clean that up. Let's go back into our foliage tool here and it's like a secret underground grass. Okay, all of this grass is fine. Okay, that looks alright. Now let's just I guess hop through here and reapply our grass to the wall with the correct spacing. And you know what? The density of 1 is kind of crazy. Use 0.5, I think, is a bit more fair. That's fine. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. This looks good. Okay, so these materials here, this is for the most part a hand-painted asset, but I don't love it. The ruins entrance asset material is here, and it looks like this. Once it loads, anyways. Guess it doesn't want to. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it's very. My gosh, it's not rough at all. What we need here is probably, like, if we look at the roughness, we can see it's fairly dark. I have to check this material out, and we want to add probably a flat value. We don't even need. Just temporarily, this will make the material look a little bit better. Why it's so glossy is beyond me. It's like always wet. Like, why is that? Like it's been polished or something. It's bizarre. Yeah, that should look a bit better. We still have some slight. If I move the light, you can see we still have some slight variation on the texture based on the light, which is good. But it's a lot better than what it was before. I'll try 0.2. No worries, Julio. No worries. Yeah, I have not touched Persona in like a month. Makes me sad. But not in a serious way. I'm not depressed. You don't have to worry. I'll put this back to 0.4. I think that was the correct move. And from here, yeah, checkout, sure. That's fine. So now if we look at this, it's less shiny. It immediately already looks better. Should have moved my player start over. Yeah, it looks better. I really want to update the model on that. Anyways, I think at least for the time being, it should be good. Now, what I want to do here is build some functionality into our gate here. I guess it's a little bit of a bonus bit since I'm kind of done updating this the way I wanted to. But I don't need to build it, the functionality from this side. I actually want to build it from the inside of the city. So let's save all and head and open up that other level. So let's go into the downtown level. Yeah, I guess it could be considered self-control. It's more so, I don't know, because I still love snacks. You know, still don't feel like I have a lot of self-control. Um, okay, this is the asset I want to be working with here. I mean, it's the same asset, but this is the functionality I want to be editing. So, City Gate looks like it's functional. I'm going to add a new variable to this, just a boolean. Requires confirmation. Yeah, we'll check it out because, you know, we're trying to work with it and everything. Right, and this variable here, we will expose it as default. And what I want to do is create a quick tooltip that says determines if use requires yes/no. And I'll just move that over, create some space. From here, what am I typing? True. I want a branch. And on true, well, actually, this is on false. And it should be false by default. Cool. You know what? I actually want this to work the opposite way. I'm just going to apply a not boolean and move this over. Because I like to work downwards when building dialogue. So just control click, move that over. And I'm actually going to take a look at my police officer as a reference for how the dialogue is set up. So let's grab him, open it up, and I'm going to move this off monitor just as a reference, but you guys will see the result, so still kind of, you still get that information if you know what I mean. Okay, so if the gate requires confirmation, what we want to do is to start, we're going to grab the same sort of function. And from here, we're going to run our dialog box setup, just like before. And what we're going to be doing is upgrading this macro a little bit for our dialogue. You want to be able to set if this item is a question or not. Let's bump that up. And which question index? We probably want to be able to verify that as well. And move that up so that is last is on the bottom. So from here, that should be good. Let's save that macro, that work we did, and head over here. So just gonna grab this, and it's gonna read. Let me just check my Whoops! Didn't mean to click that. Just checking a doc, a Word document, or a design document rather. Cross-reference the way this is going to be set up. And yeah, so you're gonna say, you know, head out for the day? Question mark, right? Is it a question? Yes, it is. So we'll check that Boolean true. And the question we're launching, let's just specify this as question. You know what? Let's do 0. Let's use 0. Try to be more programmer-like, if possible. From here, let's see. We would grab an event launch question, and I'll just move my end interaction a bit lower. So launch question, we want to set actor phase. Oh, we don't have that variable. Or did I just not type it? Ah, get shop phase. That's so awkward. It does the same thing. I mean, I was using these for a lot of shops, so I guess on the parent I called it a shop phase, but it should be get actor phase, because we want to be inclusive to actors of all types, not just shops, you know. So now I'm just going to compile the parent, and I'm suspecting all of the child classes want to get checked out. So bonus if that's not the case. Because the variable type is the same, but the reference actor is of a different name. So, yeah, this is taking a super long time. Yeah, this is a mighty long compile. I wonder if this is going to require a forced close or something. You know what? I believe in Unreal, and usually if it has an issue, it just shuts itself off. I think it's actually trying to process a bunch of directives. Unfortunately, it doesn't make good streaming. There we go. Definitely having that faith paid out. So back in our city gate, we want to set actor phase. There it is. I want to set it to 1 because we don't want to be influencing this conversational path anymore. Not that we can, but typically this is how I flow my dialogue. Get actor phase. And that sort of sits right here. And basically, by default, this is 0, and based on changing this to 1, we basically don't put through anything if we're trying to, because this widget is based on player input. we want to stop that input from happening, which is basically it's not very elegant, but it definitely is functional. If you want to see a sample of the dialogue with a character, an NPC character, you can check out our development video from this week. But moving on, we want to launch a question. And basically, question box setup. So, this is using an older format. A vastly older format. If I'm gonna have to actually reference how this is set up. So if I head over to the parent class, we have our reference box question setup. So right here, what we want to do is get rid of these number of options. There's a better way to handle that, and I will set that up at a future time. Yes or no question, 2 choices, right? We want to set up the questions box, promote it to a variable, of course. And let's see here, we want to set the interact actor as self. Pass that through here. We then want to set the choice text based on those 2 inputs on our function. And after that, we just want to set is a question. On the dialog widget is a question. I'm going to set that to false, and that should be everything we need inside of the it needs to update to work with new format. We can delete that because now it's successfully updated. And man, the mighty long compiles on the interact test. In any case, looks like it's faster. I also looks like I deleted my set boolean, and I want to delete this note, so I'll just quickly make those changes. So set to set is a question to false. And let that compile. Okay, let's see here. One file needs checkout. What file is that? It is our shopping actor, the Gadgets and Gadgets store. Sure, Unreal, I'll check it out and make you happy. Back on our Citygate actor, we finally have our 2 choices rather for our question types. And choice 1, I'll say, well, I don't want to be sure. Keep it simple, right? Yes or no? What do you want to do? And we have another blueprint interface for event. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. Call it choice made, basically. And this is the choice made by the player based on the 0 to 1 setup here. So this would also be switch on integer, and we definitely don't want a default. And right from here we would have basically 0 would be that we had selected yes, so I'll print string and say loading level, and from here I'll just attach it to 1 and just I'll try cancel, and then we'll be able to see with a kind of some sort of a readout what we got here. And what I want to do is call end interaction on either. That should be adequate. Oh geez, it looks like my alarm is going off here. Yeah, so like I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, guys, I have unfortunately an appointment I have to keep, and we kind of have the 2-hour mark met almost. So guys, thanks for watching. The views, the likes, and the subscribes are all greatly appreciated. Thanks again for watching. Tomorrow I'll continue with the banking system probably, and probably set up some